Good journey, everyone. Welcome to Space Oats Live, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, the Crucial Crew member Jay. And man, do we got so many things to talk about. I'm looking at my tabs across my computer right now with every shot that I'm gonna put up and share. So many things. Um, we had two episodes of The Bad Batch last week. So we're going to review those two episodes of The Bad Batch. Um, we had a couple other releases, a new series that's going to be coming about. That was kind of a surprise. But I don't know, a surprise. But then after it was revealed, it was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And you can kind of see where they move this in the future with even some other spinoffs. So we're going to talk about that and the trailer that was released. For that series that's going to arrive on May the 4th. We're also going to talk about another trailer, kind of a story trailer to a new upcoming game. I think you all know what that is. Kind of getting excited about that. Especially now that Jedi Survivor, almost done with that one, almost 100%, everything done. Need another Star Wars game, right? So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some things that are happening in the Disney parks. Well, at least Disneyland, and then we'll do a crucial character pick, another crucial character pick. So apologies, I just ate really fast, so because I needed some more food because I didn't have enough for dinner, obviously, so I had my second dinner. But yeah, so we're gonna start off with a segment called "Not a Long Time Ago." That is the wrong sharing that I'm going to put up there, unfortunately. Well, yeah, no, it's not. I posted something different on my social media. That's why I'm thinking that. We're going to talk about something that happened not too long ago in this galaxy that has to do with what I have shown there. So the basically the original opening crawl for Star Wars. When it first came out in 1977, it only said Star Wars. And then it had the opening crawl where it basically started, it has appeared a Civil War, all that good stuff. So, it said a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Then it just said Star Wars, and then it went into the opening crawl. No Episode 4, no A New Hope. It was released again in 1978. Again, same thing, with that whole opening crawl the same way. It wasn't until after The Empire Strikes Back came out that when it was re-released in 1981, the subtitle, Episode 4, A New Hope, was added to that opening crawl. So today, not long ago in this galaxy, what is it today? Is it the 11th? It's the 10th. April the 10th, 1981, the opening crawl was added to the Star Wars re-release in 1981. So basically, it was basically added because now it definitely was a initial movie to a series. So there was going to be 3 movies that were in the middle of a story with the intent of possibly going back and doing the first 3 and then the last 6. But really, the first 3 was something that was definitely on George Lucas's mind, beginning with Episode 4 with the first movie. And I'm sorry, this would be the 4th time the movie was released because it was released in 77, 78, and 79, each year without that subtitle, or that episode number. So this was the 4th time that it was re-released in theaters, now after The Empire Strikes Back, now with the Episode 4 title, A New Hope. So that happened not long ago in this galaxy. That is a little segment that I do usually every day on my Instagram page, The Crucial Crew Member. So follow me there and you get some Star Wars history thrown in there. A couple other things of note as far as things that happened in Star Wars history. April the 10th, we had the Star Wars, if you remember Star Wars in concert, well, if you remember Star Wars: A Musical Journey, that's what it began as, and then it continued on as as Star Wars in Concert, which I think kind of continues to pop up here and there to this day. I remember seeing it as Star Wars in Concert. I have a T-shirt from that somewhere. Sometimes I wear it. Yeah, so today, April 10th, 2009, the Star Wars in Concert, it debuted at the O2 Arena in London, England, today in Star Wars history. I've been to the O2 in London when Star Wars Celebration was there in London it was last year, wasn't it? Last year, they had a little Star Wars event there at a little club over there. It was really cool. After party, which was a lot of fun. That was the Cantina 2 with a bunch of different bands, which was really fun. A lot of people cosplaying, Star Wars themed drinks, all sorts of good stuff. A lot of fun to hang out. And in 2009, April 10th, Star Wars in Concert debuted at the O2 Arena. Is a really cool thing. I mean, if it's still going on, if you can see it anywhere at any time, it's a lot of fun to hear the music live by an orchestra with the projections of the scenes where those that music score is attached to. So pretty awesome to be able to see that live. It's a really, really awesome time. Another little bit of Star Wars history goes back to 2015, so not too long ago in this galaxy. The digital releases of the first 6 films were released for digital download. Lucasfilm had the digital distribution rights to episodes 1 through 3 and 5 and 6. So in collaboration with Walt Disney Studios and 20th Century Fox, all 6 films were released for digital download on April 10th, 2015. I was one of the ones to get all of these, so it was something that happened immediately on my part to be able to get those, and still have them somewhere. Don't know where. I think I talked about this the other day because I think the announcement for this was on April the 7th, 2015. And then a few days later, everything dropped. It was on a Friday that everything kind of came out. So, but the digital releases, yes, April the 10th, 2015 for the first 6 films. Now they're just digital everywhere to stream, especially if you have Disney Plus. It's so easy. I think that's the way that most of us watch them now is digitally. So, so yes, that is the 3 little tidbits of Not Long Ago in This Galaxy. Again, do that every day on my Instagram page, either live or by a post. Yeah, head on over there, follow me there, and you get a little bit of Star Wars history each and every day. That is the way we do it. We are going to talk about the Bad Batch. We're going to go and do basically the last 2 episodes. So we're not going to talk about this week's episode. I'm not going to talk about this week's episode. I actually want to watch this week's episode again. A little bit distracted today when I watched that, and I haven't had a chance to go back and watch it again. But yeah, I don't know. I just wasn't feeling this week's episode so much. But last week's episodes, because there was 2 episodes, Identity Crisis and Point of No Return. Identity Crisis kind of took us away. I think this is why they did the 2 episodes, because Identity Crisis, there really wasn't any Bad Batch characters in this episode at all. But it kind of, I think, set up something that we're going to kind of see in the future. And I've kind of said this earlier when the series kind of started, that I believe that Emery Carr is going to have this turn in the end, this like conscious, what I'm doing is wrong, and I'm on the wrong side. So I think this is kind of to set that up. So Identity Crisis really focuses on Emery Carr and her involvement with the work being done on Tantus. We get a lot of more information this week, or that episode, um, with what is going on in the vault. The vault, which we kind of saw Namaste and Hemlock going in and out of, but we never actually got to see what was going on in the vault. We knew that the Emperor went in there when he came, but we didn't know what was happening in there, and it's quite different than what I thought was going on in the vault. So basically, we get to see what's in the vault. The vault actually has a few Jedi or Force, not Jedi, but Force sensitive younglings being held in the vault, and a couple different researchers in there. We know it's very, very highly guarded. But Embry Carr finally kind of gets to take over this because Nalase has basically betrayed the work being done on Tantus when she helped Omega escape, and according to Hemlock, it was hiding the fact that Omega had the ability to hold a high M count within her blood. So Emery kind of like steps in and says that the work has stalled, and she feels that she can kind of take over Nalase's work. So Hemlock basically says that she will have it. She's gonna have access to the vault, so we get to see what's going on in the vault for the first time and get to meet these test subjects, which basically, again, we kind of saw this from the beginning when Omega was on Tantus, that they don't want them to get any type of personal connection with these prisoners that they're doing tests on. And we see that to the extent as well within the vault. We learn a lot about that when we see that. And we see Emery's kind of already having this like identity crisis of, I want to kind of have a little bit of attachment because they are younglings, even younger than Omega, it seems like, some of the, for the most part. But yeah, so we get this really good idea of what's going on in the vault in this episode. We also get to see a little bit of how these subjects are acquired. In fact, the episode actually starts off on a planet. I think it's Karad is the planet. We've never been there before. Really cool looking planet, honestly. So, and we get to see a species that we've seen before. We've seen this species before in Solo, Star Wars story. So it wasn't live action. So, but it was just like a very small drop of a character, just a new character in the background to basically expand the universe. But these are Tarlafars, I believe, is the pronunciation of these characters. They almost look like little, I don't know, like raccoon / panda mixes, whatever you want to like kind of mix them in. But it's two of them, a mother and a child. And the mother's name is Eilish, I think, and the infant is Bayrin. And we kind of see the start off of this episode where the infant has Force abilities. We kind of get that from a scene where they're in the marketplace and a vase is thrown and broken, and the child is basically seen that they have done it, and the child is so small, they're like, well, how did that happen? And another passerby basically says that that child is gifted, some might say. And if you kind of remember some of the past episodes of well, at least in Obi-Wan Kenobi, when the attention is drawn that someone is gifted or possible has Force potential or is a Force user, the Inquisitors come. So another one of the marketplace passersby basically says, don't say that, we don't want to it draws the wrong type of attention, and we don't want that. And the wrong type of attention does get kind of noticed, and then the call is made for a class 1 bounty hunter to come to Karad to basically acquire this infant. So even any potential is something that's on the Empire's mind to get basically them out of the galaxy and to wherever they are going to either take them. In this case, is to take them to Tantus for a price to do these experiments on them. So the Class 1 bounty hunter that is that comes is Cad Bane, is that of Cad Bane. And Cad Bane comes and kidnaps the infant and takes them away. So we also kind of going away from that, we get to, see how, again, this vault is, the ones that are captured in this vault, they're Jedi, they're force sensitive. They don't want to be there. They want to go home. They want to escape. And we meet this other character that's in the vault named Jax, and he's a I always say this species wrong. The Miralin, and he tries to do a prison break. He sees Emery and how she's like accessing the vault exit, and he thinks he can do this as well. And of course, this fails, and he's placed in solitary confinement. That doesn't sit too well with Emery, with how they're being treated, being the younglings that they are. So again, this kind of crisis in her mind of like how she's feeling with this is a conflict, and you can kind of see her maybe second guessing, the treatment of these younglings. Because now Emery is involved in the vault, she has to go make this pickup of this new specimen. And so she goes and meets up with Cad Bane, has this meeting, and you can see the look on her face when she sees that this is an infant child that is being acquired. And again, sitting not very well with her with this delivery that's getting made to her to take back to Tantus, because the specimen is definitely far younger than what she has expected, the youngest that we've seen being tested on Tantus thus far. So again, just driving that home with Emery, and then kind of in the final moments of this episode, we see Emery start to kind of have a change of heart, kind of like what she did with Omega, because we see the return of the straw tuka that Omega had made, that Emery first took away from her, but then kind of to raise her spirits gave back. So this other youngling that's in the vault, the name of which is Eva, we learn, which basically Emery is told, not to make these attachments when she asks her real name. She's a Iktachi, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is the same species as the Jedi Master Saesee Tiin from Revenge of the Sith that was on the Council, the ones with the horns. So this is a youngling of that same species. And Emery kind of leaves the Tuka, kind of like she did for Omega in the end there, which kind of lifts her spirit, because this character, Eva, keeps asking Emery, when am I going home? And Emery was promising answers, but kind of, not giving her that, because obviously that is not the intent, to let them go and to set them free. Who knows what they're doing after they feel that they're obsolete or they can't work with them anymore. We don't know. Maybe they turn them over to the Inquisitorius. I don't know. I guess maybe we'll find that out. I don't know. But basically, that was the entire episode of really focusing on Emery and her conflict of what am I doing? Am I doing? Is this right? Is this wrong? You can see that conflict in her choices, in what she's directed to do throughout that entire episode. So I think it was a really good, deep, dark episode, much needed. I liked that they gave us 2 episodes with it, or another episode with it, because if it was by itself, it would have been kind of feeling like this week, honestly. But anyway, regardless of that, let's move on to the second episode that aired. And that was the episode, The Point of No Return. The Point of No Return actually started off with Fee. We see Fee again on a planet, and kind of like a moon-like planet. I almost like thought maybe it was like Polis Massa or something like that, because it kind of looks similar to that. But yeah, she kind of stops on this planet to refuel and just like kind of take a break in the galaxy. And I guess some intel has been given to the Empire, and well, I think we actually saw that in the previous episode somewhat. But anyway, the intel from the Empire dispatches a CX2, those kind of Manchurian candidate clones that we have, and they're on the hunt there. And the Empire dedicated clone sneaks aboard Fee's ship while she is, getting the supply she needs to move through her whatever mission she's on. And he sneaks aboard the ship, almost is caught, and the alarm goes off, but he cuts it off real quick. And then he basically acquires the location of his target, that being Omega, which he finds out that Fee's been going back and forth to Pabu, and now he's basically got that intel, and we know what's going to happen, right? We know that this is kind of what Ventress was talking about. They're not as safe as they think, and this is basically the connection to that. I like how that Fee is really pretty slick. She had a feeling that somebody was on that ship, but kind of gets distracted before CX2 he's able to get away. So. But yeah, then we go back to Pabu. It looks like everybody's heeding Ventress's warning that they're not that safe, so they're already starting to pack up and decide to leave. They're saying their goodbyes. We see Omega saying a goodbye to Liana, her friend, the daughter of the governor or the mayor of Pabu, and we see that happening, the goodbyes, the packing up, all of that, kind of getting the Marauder ready to go. And then we see the CX2 basically arriving on Pabu, hiding in that same cave, again, popular cave to hide in on Pabu, where nobody can see them arrive, and kind of sneaks around, matches the fact that, that they found the planet that the target is on, that Omega is on. He kind of scopes things out. Already has let the Empire know that they're there, so he kind of gets in position, makes sure that they can't leave. He basically sabotages the Marauder, unfortunately, because this kind of reminded me of The Mandalorian when we lost the ship there, and I don't know why. It's not like it's been that long, and I always forget the name of the Mandalorian ship. But anyway, the Marauder's it's been with the Bad Batch the entire time, so it's a sad thing to see the Marauder go, but definitely blown to bits in this episode. So this is definitely an announcement of his arrival, the Empire's arrival on Pabu. Very well placed explosives there. That awesome ship, the Marauder, is now gone. So they're kind of stuck right now in a mix. They have to scatter. The Empire shows up. The CX2 is they're looking for the clones. They're looking for Omega. It gets to the point where just the citizens of Pabu are starting to feel the wrath of the Empire. Omega sees this. Omega doesn't want to sacrifice the Pabuans because basically the Empire says that they will basically squeeze her out in one way or another. Omega ends up telling the Bad Batch that she will give herself up. They can track her in one way or another, either by her tracking device that's on her that's concealed, or by putting a tracking beacon on the ship once she is heading away. So reluctantly, they kind of let her hand herself over to the Empire once more, because this has happened again. This happened before at the end of the second season. This is kind of like the same thing. I was a little bit disappointed that that's the way that this is kind of going, because it's kind of re-theming a lot from last season, but it's okay. So Omega hands herself over, her hope that the Bad Batch will be able to track her, or the ship that she's taken away from, and finally find the location of Tantus. So we see that she hands herself over. Crosshair, they find the tracker on her, so we know that it's basically down to getting a tracking beacon on the ship. Crosshair gets himself in the ready to do that, and kind of know what's coming at this point, that Crosshair, because it set it up so much that he's not able to hit his targets as well as he used to, and of course he fails and does not hit the ship that's transporting Omega back to Tantus. So they're kind of just at a loss. Kind of, again, the same thing that happened in season 2. They know she's gone to Tantus, but they just don't know how to get there or where she is, or at least that's what we think. So that's the only spoiler I'm going to give you for this week if you haven't watched it yet. But yeah, so those were the 2 episodes. I liked the first one a lot better. Again, the point of no return, very similar to the episode where Omega turned herself over. It's just a different location, honestly. So kind of disappointed in that episode being something original. Just different characters, different places, and just further on down the story. But it's setting up, pretty much what's going to be the end. We only got a few more episodes left, and that was it. And then this week's episode came out, was a single episode. Not sure if anybody had watched that yet, so I don't want to go ahead and spoil that as of yet. But that wasn't the only release that we got last week. It was not the only release that we got last week. We also got a trailer for a new series that I don't know if anybody knew this one was coming. I know I didn't know it was coming. I knew that we were going to get some more Tales of the Jedi in some way or another, right? But I didn't know it was going to be in this form. And I always thought it would be cool. I remember talking, it'd be cool to have like Tales of the Sith or something like that. Tales of the Empire is where they went this time. Again, very similar setup to Tales of the Jedi. We're going to get 6 episodes on May the 4th, 2 separate stories. The one dealing with Morgan Elsbeth and her relationship with Grand Admiral Thrawn that we heard about in Ahsoka. And then we're going to get another series spinoff on Barriss Offee. So really cool. Barriss Offee, which last we saw of her was in the Clone Wars in prison, right? For turning on the Jedi. So really cool to be able to see what happens to her after that. Because she isn't a Jedi, right? So she's survived Order 66. So it's really cool. And we get a lot of information in this trailer that came out the other day. So this young Morgan Elsbeth, basically navigating the expanding Imperial rule, and basically setting her up on a path of vengeance, because we get to learn a little bit about her backstory, which ties into the Clone Wars, which is really cool. If you kind of noticed from the trailer. Is a lot of cool information that you see in this trailer. And we're going to kind of go through and look at this to see some of the information that we saw. But the other storyline is, again, Barriss Offee, who was a Jedi, basically doing what she needs to do to survive the changing galaxy that's moving so fast around her. What is she going to do? Is she going to, be in prison, stay in prison? Is she going to change? Is she going to do something different? What is she going to do? So we get to see these 2 stories. The trailer starts off looking like it possibly is going to be on Corvus, which is where we met Morgan Elsbeth for the first time. A lot in better shape. The trees aren't charred and burned like it was in the Mandalorian episode where we visited there, but 3 huge Star Destroyers overhead, and you see Morgan Elsbeth and Thrawn basically on that planet. They're discussing a potential alliance at that point in time. So interesting to see that. Also, let's see here, going a little bit further, we see Morgan Elsbeth, which looks like her from her Dathomir days. You see the Night Sister tattoos on her, which is definitely a younger version of Elsbeth, hiding among the fauna of Dathomir. And this actually is a very specific time that we've seen before in the Clone Wars. So we get to see, an event that happened from a different point of view, which is really cool. I love the different point of view events that sometimes come up in Star Wars content, especially the Siege of Mandalore episodes of the Clone Wars, which are basically taking place at the same time of Revenge of the Sith, and basically seeing conversations from different sides. We might get to see some of this kind of happen with these events here on Dathomir, because this is the same time during the Clone Wars animated series, which basically shows that Morgan Elsbeth was present during the events of the season 4 episode Massacre. The season 4 episode of Massacre, which I talked about not too long ago, was a climatic moment with Asajj Ventress's revenge story arc. Once she was betrayed by Count Dooku, she had gone back to Dathomir and planned revenge on Dooku, to basically gather her Night Sisters together to use them in a plot to assassinate Dooku. And Massacre saw General Grievous and his forces basically have an assault on Dathomir, and with Dooku's orders, basically razing the Night Sisters home to the ground, scattering any surviving Dathomiri, including Mother Talzin and her followers and Ventress, basically to the wind. So we see that Morgan Elsbeth was basically there, and we kind of might get to see a little bit about what happened to her during this time period. Another scene in the trailer with Morgan Elsbeth talking to Thrawn. We see Thrawn in this shot actually not in his Grand Admiral uniform. So this is basically taking place before he got that position. But we do see him basically he's risen to the rank of at least Admiral in the Imperial Navy. So he still has a status of some sort, talking to Morgan Elsbeth at this time. And then after this scene in the trailer, we cut to a different part of the story, the other side of the story, the other 3 episodes and what they deal with. We cut to what looks like the same planet that Obi-Wan Kenobi had with the Inquisitorius fortress, because we see that same shuttle flying towards it. We know that this is, if this is the case, this is in the Mustafar system, and this is the planet Nur, which was that water planet, home to the Fortress Inquisitorius. We saw, have seen that in Obi-Wan Kenobi. We saw it first in Jedi Fallen Order, that being the same place. So if this is the case, then this is the same planet that we get a return to as well, with that fortress. The Inquisitor is familiar. Well, first of all, Barra Sophie. Barra Sophie is shown in one of the shots with clones, which the clones obviously are very similar to to what we have seen, like kind of early on in like almost like immediately after Revenge of the Sith. These clones kind of look like their armor is. The character here we see not in Inquisitor uniform, but it is the Fourth Sister. The Fourth Sister from Obi-Wan Kenobi, but instead kind of still in her like Jedi possible uniform. So maybe she's not completely turned at this point, or just turned at this point, and trying to help in pulling Barriss Offee's decision to join the team. Or maybe she just, changed into a garment to maybe connect with Barriss a little bit better. Maybe she's already full Inquisitor at this point. But the same voice actor reprises her live action role in the animation here, Raya Kilstedt. So that is really cool. We also know that this Fourth Sister has a Jedi name, a real name, by the name of Lynn. And that has been confirmed on StarWars.com. And then we see a conversation taking place in a prison cell similar to how we see Barriss Offee the last time we had seen her, once she is basically imprisoned by the Galactic Republic. We get to see Lynn, or the Fourth Sister, interrogating this Jedi Padawan and prisoner of the Republic, which is now the Empire, Barriss Offee. So we see her in that prison garment, which is I'm guessing that's either, I mean, it might actually be on Coruscant. It might be after she's taken to Fortress Inquisitorius. So we don't really know that for sure about where this actually is. But we do know that Barriss gets released from captivity. So here is Barriss in this shot with in dark robes now. So she actually has had a change, flanked by two dark armored stormtroopers, or clone troopers. Either one, could be either, don't know. Could be leftover clones, not really sure here. But yeah, so we know that she is out of captivity, possibly being persuaded to join in the hunt. So we'll see how that plays out. We go back to the Morgan Elsbeth story in another scene, see her with these really cool weapons and kind of with her Night Sister look. So this is probably, again, a flashback when she's on Dathomir, taking part in that siege of Dathomir with, battle droids, and she's slicing them down with those crescent blades that she has. And then also standing in that burning forest of her home. It flips to another burning moment. This time it looks like back on Cordova, in that magistrate outfit, similar to how we saw her in The Mandalorian, with the pike staff, that's Beskar, that the Mandalorian ends up taking from her after beating her, or after Ahsoka beats her. So this is definitely well after her encounter with Thrawn, that was shown earlier in the trailer, and more so in the Age of the New Republic. Basically closer to the time that we see her in The Mandalorian. She's walking away from some sort of ship. Don't really know what that ship is. But then we again flip back to a lot of back and forth here, but we go back to Barriss Offee, probably on the Fortress Inquisitorius, a bunch of lightsabers in the foreground, possibly fallen Jedi, possibly the Inquisitors that basically have given up their Jedi path and maybe have turned in their old lightsabers to take their Inquisitor lightsabers. But we have the Grand Inquisitor here, giving direct training himself to Barriss. which is a really cool shot. I love this shot. This is probably one of my favorite shots in the trailer. And again, we go back to Cordova. Very similar scene to what we saw in The Mandalorian. That area that Morgan Elsbeth was living in on Cordova in that era of the New Republic. So that courtyard from that Mandalorian episode in the city of Caladan, basically meeting with New Republic dignitaries, including several of the defense fleet in there, the troopers there, and then also a familiar face that we saw in the Mandalorian, that being the character Wing, which was the character that ended up taking over as governor of Caladan after Morgan Elsbeth was basically ousted by Ahsoka and taken from that city. Sticking with Morgan Elsbeth, a lot more Morgan Elsbeth than Barriss Offee's story shown in the trailer, by the way. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So we see Morgan Elsbeth again with those her blades. We can kind of see her blades though being infused with some of that dark magic, that Night Sister magic, and she is fighting with General Grievous. So really cool part of that. Being able to counter his blades with those weapons that she's using. So pretty awesome. Guessing that she probably gets beat. But we'll see how that happens, how she survives that in that episode, I'm sure. So, but then we go back to, again, Barriss Offee's story arc. We see an Inquisitor in the background with a possible Jedi and a character running towards them. You kind of can tell by the costume that the character running towards them is Barriss. Why she's running towards them without any ignited lightsaber, I guess we'll find out. But she's hooded here, running through the fog to that duel. The duel is with the Fourth Sister and an unknown Jedi with that blue blade. And we don't really know what's going on, why that happens. And we're left with wondering that as we go back to the Elsbeth story arc with a really interesting shot that I almost didn't catch in the trailer until I watched it like the third or fourth time. But this going back to Dathomir and then seeing as the line of battle droids are basically blasted away by an obscured figure projecting a huge aura of blinding force. So don't know who this is or what the part of the story that this is going to be, but this is a kind of a mystery in the episode that is pretty intense. And then again, going back to Barriss's story arc, and a lot of flipping back and forth. Kind of the final test for Barriss, it seems like the last step of her transformation into being an Inquisitor. We assume that Barriss triumphs this because we see another scene that kind of basically hints at that. But this interesting kind of duel, this last duel that is going to happen between Barriss Offee and her being thrown into like an arena with someone else, and then one lightsaber getting thrown in. So basically kind of like a duel, I guess, to the death that one's going to be. And that is going to be like the final test, like who survives gets to join the Inquisitors. We see a familiar face returning, their new master, basically, once they reach that rank of Inquisitor, then they can we see the waiting Inquisitors. We see our familiar friend Darth Vader entering in, and then we see those waiting Inquisitors, Barriss being one of them, the Fourth Sister being another familiar Inquisitor next to Barriss, that crow that masked Inquisitor that we've seen before, that Ahsoka killed at the climax of her story in Tales of the Jedi. And then Merrick there at the end as well. Or Merrick right next to Barriss. I'm sorry, Merrick at next to Barriss, which is really cool. So the other one was the other one on the end. There is the one that Ahsoka killed in the climax of her story of Tales of the Jedi. So a lot of familiar faces in this story arc that we see in the end there. So a really cool trailer. I know I was like crazy loving this trailer. So I hope everybody else enjoyed it. I watched it a bunch. So pretty amazing. We got a lot of merchandise talked about. So we're going to look at some of the new merchandise. So the Phantom Menace, do the Funko treatment because I know a lot of people collect Funkos. I'm not a big collector of Funkos, but so many Phantom Menace Funko Pops coming out for the celebration of the Phantom Menace 25th anniversary. A lot of exclusive reveals happened last week. We have a really cool Queen Amidala on her throne, which is really awesome looking. We have a ride of Darth Maul on the Bloodfin speeder, which is pretty neat. We have a Funko Pop Anakin Skywalker with his helmet from the pod racing. There is a cool Funko Pop Battle Droid. We have a Funko Pop Jar Jar Binks with the Booma Balls. We have a Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Phantom Menace with that Padawan braid. A Padme Amidala on Tatooine, the Tatooine outfit. Watto, which is pretty cool, but I don't see his wings. Pretty interesting. Another Darth Maul retro. That one is a Target exclusive. Another Target exclusive being the Queen Amidala retro. And another one retro Target exclusive, which is basically the Jar Jar Binks with the boom balls. Almost the same one, but just in a different style. Same thing. Another retro Obi-Wan Kenobi that's at Target. So some Target exclusives there. So yeah, if you're a Funko Pop collector, those are, did it say when they were available actually? Not sure if it said when they were available. I think they're available for pre-order at Target now. I don't know where the other ones you can get. Maybe on Funko's website. I don't know. I'm not that big on getting where all the Funko Pops are. But a bunch of other exclusive merchandise for the Phantom Menace coming out. I'm a big Diff sunglass fan. I don't know. I mean, if you follow me, you know I am. But there's some really cool Anakin Skywalker pod racer sunglasses. These are really nice. I love these frames. They kind of almost look like his goggles in a way. And then also have like hints of like, being for the pod racer. The oh, by the way, Diff also is going to have some Queen Amidala, Mace Windu, and Darth Maul designs as well. They all start on May the 4th. Darth Maul's Legacy hilt lightsabers with a collector's box. They're going to be available on the Disney Store as well as Disney Parks on May the 4th. So same day connection there that you can get those. Limited edition. We went over the Funko Pops. If you are someone that has your ears pierced. Girls Crew has some Darth Maul gunmetal studs. So the face of Maul as well as the lightsaber, which is really cool. The double-bladed lightsaber. Some retro packs. Star Wars The Phantom Menace retro collection. Looking like the 1970s boxes. This time with Anakin Skywalker, Queen Amidala. I guess Anakin Skywalker. I don't see Anakin Skywalker on the box though. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul, and Jar Jar Binks, all coming in that 3 3/4 inch scale line. Those are exclusive to Target. Her universe has a really cool Episode 1 bomber jacket. Not for me though. That's actually already on sale, if it's still available. Darth Maul's Sith Infiltrator by Lego. That is available for pre-order now at lego.com and walmart.com ahead of its May 1st release. Loungefly has a Queen Amidala cosplay mini backpack. That is not sure when that's coming. And then Pair Eyewear has Darth Maul frames. They are available actually they were available today, starting today. And then The Living Force by Random House Worlds is a new novel. That is already out. That takes place the year before the events of the film. So something to maybe read before your next watch of The Phantom Menace. And that is by John Jackson Miller. So a lot of new releases upcoming to look forward to if you are a collector. If you're a Disney Parks person and you have access to Disneyland, not Disney World, because, we don't get these new characters. Sabine Wren is going to be, or is, at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge now until June the 2nd for the part of Season of the Force. Season of the Force, Sabine just looks so awesome, man. I wish that we would get these characters out here on the East Coast. But Season of the Force has a lot of events coming, and we've talked about some of them, some of the food and beverage items that were going to get released there on the West Coast. Went over some of those last week, but a lot of stuff there at the Season of the Force. Space Mountain gets transformed into Hyperspace Mountain, which I've actually ridden that. It's amazing to ride it as Hyperspace Mountain. Actually prefer it as Hyperspace Mountain. And then also lots of merchandise, other things available there. Some merchandise over here on the East Coast, but most of it being on the West Coast. During that event, you can also start going on the Star Tours Adventure Continues new locations, which are coming here to Disney World as well, or may already be there, possibly. I think they may have started on Friday. And then on select nights in Disneyland, in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, you will be able to enjoy the Fire of the Rising Moons nighttime spectacular there in Batu. A collection of some of the musical accompaniments from John Williams' score. And you can basically see it from a couple different places within Batu to get some different vantage points. In the Black Spire Spaceport, over by the Thai Echelon docking platform, and by the Speeder Garage. Will give you great views of the Fire of the Rising Moons. So can't wait to see some footage of that. Not going to be able to get out to see that this year, but it looks like it would be amazing to be able to see. And then, as if we didn't get enough this past week, we got a new story trailer for Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars Outlaws is the next game that is going to be coming out for gaming platforms. And yeah, it looks amazing. It looks movie quality, playable, which is amazing. We get to kind of know who the main bad guys are in this. We know that basically everybody, we're dealing with the underworld in this one. So good guys is relative, right? But we get to really see like the outlaws, these Zarek Besh crime family, which is one of the greatest crime families during the Galactic Empire. And we basically get to learn a lot about them. Kay Vess, the main character that I'm guessing is the playable character, who is from the Workers District on Canto Bight, which I didn't realize, which is pretty cool to be able to have Canto Bight kind of connected into this and see a different side of Canto Bight. But it's really dealing with the underworld, this game, which is really awesome. A lot of familiar faces pop up. Honestly, in that round table, it almost looked like it was Kira when they mentioned Crimson Dawn. So don't know if Kira is going to be highlighted in this or not. Jabba the Hutt we see, but then some really just awesome looking characters in this game. Can't wait to play this. We go to a new, one of the new planets that was featured is called Tushara, which is a new planet, kind of inspired by the East African savannas. It's in the Tushal system. It's described as very windy, kind of things blown around on that planet, even cutting into the mountains, kind of the wind created the shape of the land, the terrain, kind of like a river would as well. And then we also see Kay's ship, the Trailblazer. This is our new Mantis, the Trailblazer, I guess. So really cool. I can't wait for this to arrive. It is available for pre-order now. So if you are going to be playing that, again, I'm just going to go through some of these awesome photos. They just really look really cool. This picture of Kay Vess here, which looks really awesome. Very movie quality look to it, kind of like Jedi Fallen Order and Survivor, but this underworld look just amazing. Instead of the BD unit, we got this little creature, I think it was called Nyx, that kind of goes with her. Very Indiana Jones like too, with her whip and swinging around. Looks pretty cool. But this is that new planet, Tushara, which looks really awesome. This is the new planet. Sorry, I didn't share the screen. But just looks so awesome. And then her ship, the Trailblazer, shown right here in the foreground. So really awesome. But yeah, so last but not least, real quickly, I usually do a crucial character pick a couple times a month. I haven't touched on Tales of the Jedi yet. And Tales of the Jedi, again, going back to, we were talking about Tales of the Empire and Tales of the Jedi, the 6 episodes, the 2 stories, one featuring Ahsoka's storyline of 3, and then the other one, Dooku, 3 episodes. And out of the 2, I preferred the overall story arc of Dooku, but I really loved, my favorite episode was the first episode of Ahsoka, Life and Death. And one of my favorite characters in all of the series, one of my favorite side characters in all of the series, was Ahsoka's mother. Ahsoka's mother, because you see a lot of Ahsoka and Ahsoka's mother. And so that is my crucial character pick from Tales of the Jedi. That would be Papti Tano, who was the Togruta female, who was the mother of Ahsoka Tano and also the partner of Nakheel Tano, the father of Ahsoka. She had the orange skin, looked very much like Ahsoka in that way, with the white and blue leku, the blue eyes, the white markings on her face. Papti very much adhered to her people's old traditions. You see that in the way that she carried herself, and the things that she did, taking Ahsoka out the first year on the hunt, which was basically the main part of the story of that episode. And but was very different from the practices, the things that she practiced from her partner, Nakheel, who was more laid back and kind of not really sure about, holding true to the traditions of the Togruta. Papti was voiced, the character was voiced by actor Janina Gavankar, and just was in a very sounded so much like Ahsoka, and I love how they just made her character so similar And then now that you see Rosario Dawson with that character as an older Ahsoka, you see a lot of her mother in her. And even though her mother was not Force sensitive that we know of, but it's just a very, very good episode. And a lot of it has to do with the character of Pafti. So Pafti, my crucial character pick of Tales of the Jedi. Really enjoy that. I can watch that episode over and over again. I love that episode, and I just love just the things that she says to Ahsoka and how she connects Ahsoka with with life and death, which is the title of the episode, which is so great, and just defines her and sets her on that path of becoming a Jedi, because that's when her path gets known in that episode. So what an amazing episode that was. But yeah, so that is it. That is everything for tonight. A lot. It was a lot. We have had so much released. Had somebody pop one for a little bit, but they didn't stick around. So if you're watching this a little bit later, thank you for watching. I do this every week. I don't know when I'm going to do it next week. I know next week's a little bit crazy for me, but we might do this. Maybe we'll do it on Tuesday night. I don't know. Maybe not. I might skip next week. I'll let you know. But until next time, you can always follow me on Instagram. I go live every day. So I'll be going live tomorrow afternoon. We'll do an edition of Not Long Ago in This Galaxy, where we take a trip down Star Wars memory lane. And until that time, make sure you do something Star Wars. Remember, watch some Star Wars, listen to some Star Wars, play some Star Wars, read some Star Wars, do something Star Wars today. But most importantly, remember, may the stars light your way. Have a great evening, everyone. See you next